10th anniversary. Do you think the over these 10 years that the popularity of the film has actually increased?
I don't think so.
What film? I guess we'll just leave it.
It couldn't have increased because when this picture opened, it made its money back the first day.
Yeah.
So if it increased, we'd all be a hell of a lot richer. I'd own this building.
But you have to admit there is no horror film like House of a Thousand Corpses. And that's what I noticed. It just stands out from all the other ones. It's so unique.
Well, what about it stands out?
Well, the look of the film is really nice.
Yeah,
I was the production designer.
The production designer, absolutely. It actually was awesome. You did a fucking great job.
Thanks, Bill. Well, thank you. Well, you look good. I'd like to just tell the story how it happened. Is we did a maze at Universal for Rob's videos. I designed all those videos. First maze. And Blair Witch project had just happened. So Rob decided to pitch this film to Universal. And I was actually the first person he called because I was his designer. We had to put together a little presentation for Universal. And all Rob wanted was $1 million and leave him alone. And he's like, Greg, you think we could do a lot with $1 million? I was like, yeah, you can do a lot with $1 million. Well, within 2 months, it was $3 million. And then we shot, and then we did reshoots, and it got up, and it went up to $7 million. And it went to union scale, so we started getting paid more. And then finally, the film came in at like 11 million, 12 million by the time we were done. And I was on the back lot of Universal the whole year, from the first day of February to the last day of November. Had an office. I would go into meetings, and then we'd build these big sets, bigger sets. And then Universal finally saw the film after a whole year of us on the back lot making this thing, and they said, "We'll never put this out."
I have to fill that in a little bit, okay? Rob was having screenings all around the country and everything, and the survey cards were coming back great. They were either 9 or 10 or 1, which is exactly what you want, because you don't want anybody to say, yeah, it was a 5. No. So, Stacy, what's her name, Snyder?
Stacy Snyder, the head of Universal.
Head of Universal. Said, well, maybe I should come to one of these screenings. And Rob said, yeah, come on, we're doing one in Riverside or wherever. So she went down there, and after the film was over, they found her in the lobby crying and shaking uncontrollably. Somebody had to take her ass home and come back for the car the next day. And the next day she called Rob into the office and said there is no way that Universal can release this film.
Right, it was the head of distribution, I think not Stacy Snyder, who got sick, the woman who handled publicity for Universal. And she was the one in the lobby, they almost called a medic.
Well, I heard she got the vapors, whatever that is.
She got physically sick, and she told Stacy Snyder, I don't know how to promote this. I don't know what, they didn't know what it was. But House of a Thousand Corpses was a sacrificial lamb to the Lieberman Commission in Congress that was going after Hollywood for R-rated movies. And Universal had Hannibal coming out, which is so much more gory than House of a Thousand Corpses. And they literally took House of a Thousand Corpses and threw it to the wolves to say to Congress, hey, we would never put that out, and that's
Stacy was interviewed by the LA Times, and one of the questions was, why did Hannibal get a thumbs up and House of a Thousand Corpses get a thumbs down? And she said, because we know that Anthony Hopkins is not that way. Can I interest y'all in some fried chicken?
So for 3 years we wandered in the wilderness. Because we shot it in 2000, and then for 3 years this film bounced around. We actually got picked up by MGM for a while. Then Rob made some, funny comment that they didn't think was funny, and so we were back on the road. And finally, it looked like Rob was going to put the movie out by himself. Rob and his business manager Andy Gould, and then an angel from Lionsgate, a woman named Chayla Johnson, who was a great horror fan, saw this. I think at an early Monster Palooza, like when it was in Tarzana, one of the first ones. Somehow she saw a screening of it and brought it to the attention of her boss, Peter Block at Lionsgate. He got a screening of it and said, holy shit, we want it. And so they worked out a deal with Universal and Rob and put us in the theaters in 2003. And as Sid said, the first day we made our money back. And thanks to you fans, and thanks to the fact that, it's really makes me very proud to be a part of this, because, I do this for a living, and I've been in a bunch of different movies with a bunch of different writers and directors, and tried to share and help with a lot of different visions. But I got to say, there's only a handful of people like Rob Zombie. I've worked with Sam Raimi. I've worked with Tobe Hooper. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And it's so lucky and exciting when you get together with somebody who really, has that vision, has that discipline, really wants to kick some ass, has great casting. I mean, just everything about House of a Thousand Corpses was so exciting. Also, when I got the call to play Otis, at that time, I was having trouble getting extra work. So I was very excited, to just work, let alone play Otis. And I thought that Rob actually wanted like a kind of a warmed over chop top. But God bless him, he had a vision for me that I was some kind of bare-chested badass, and I thought I was just a little skitchy psycho. Not to put Chop Top down, but I thought I was more like I identified more as a Chop Top character, and he walked me to Otis, firmly but gently, and had a ball.
Yeah, you were the only test that we did. Remember that? We did a test of you,
Yep.
And I made a little set and everything, and they gave it to Universal. Universal says, yeah, this guy's scary.
Oh, Bill just said like how involved Rob was with his character. What about the rest of you guys? Like, what kind of direction did he give you?
Turn left.
There you go.
Yeah, not that much. When I came into the project after principal photography, there was 2 weeks of reshoots, which is the whole ending of the movie, and the catacombs, and the professor, and all that. And I was actually hired through Wayne Toth as makeup man. Rob just wanted somebody, he just left it up to Wayne to hire whoever he thought was right, and I've been a friend of his for years. So I saw Rob walking around on set with a bunch of suits behind him, which was an odd vision because he's got platform boots and horrible dreadlocks, and then there were all these Universal suits behind him. So I don't remember much direction from Rob. It went so quick, the shooting of the whole Dr. Satan thing. It shot in one day, and I was hooked up there for maybe 3 hours, and we kind of blasted through it. He came in and looked, saw everything was fine, and that was about it. Then I met all these people through the convention center, so I was just kind of all on my own in that one.
But the set of Dr. Satan, it was huge and big and wide, and that's all. It was just cut. You don't see as much as what was there. My favorite is when she opens the doors. I think it's in the film, but the guys hanging out on the sofas, like these reject guys, just hanging out,
Yeah, well, the whole thing you designed is really amazing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Was that the waiting room?
The what?
Dr. Satan's waiting room?
Yeah, it was like the waiting room, but like stacked couches, and these guys with really bad feet just grossed them out, just hanging out. That was it.
And nice job on the bone, like the bone chapel,
Yeah.
Front door.
Yeah, that was we came back and we did this huge set. I remember going to Universal, and Ron Meyer, the head of Universal, because they wanted to see me, and I brought this model, and he's sitting there, he's on the phone, he's working it, and I sit down in front of him, I show him the model, and he goes, you need stairs? I said, yeah, there's stairs. The guy comes down the stairs. Okay, see you. And that was it. And then they gave me, another $300,000 to make that.
I remember the murder ride. I'm pushing the cart with the victims just waiting to go, and we're seeing this murder stuff going on around us, and then Rob said, wait, stop. And he said to me, Irwin, grab her hair. Fuck with her hair. And I mean, it was just a tiny little moment in the film, and Rob was right. It just added something a little special to the moment of the scene. And that's what Rob was doing. He was just constantly always putting things in there, little things, which is really what a director should do.
He was the Vandal Sassoon of
Yep.
House of a Thousand Corpses.
Yeah, we went to a big boy, had a Big Boy restaurant, and we were walking out with me and Rob, and a couple other people, and he looks up at the picture of the Big Boy, and they had like a walking Big Boy. He's like, let's do something like that. And then a couple days later, I did up the design for the whole Ravelli. And then that car was just to go by itself, it's just to be motorized and everything. And I came to him with a bill, and we couldn't really afford it in the art department, so Rob's like, just have him push it.
Yeah, I pushed it. It was really hard, boy. It was heavy. That clown weighed so much. Oh, and actually, I had 2 crew guys on the side hidden.
Oh.
They would get all the work.
Cheater.
I did the acting, they did the work.
I was just thinking we could add some grease on the wheels. If we could have got that in the budget, I'm sure that's not too expensive.
Put some grease.
Get those wheels moving a little bit. You know what I mean, Bill?
Yeah, I do.
They could have used some of that Colonel Sanders chicken to grease the wheels.
That keeps the budget under
That was
a
the worst
million.
shit I ever put in my mouth.
But also, and just what Irwin was saying, that in terms of Rob, just adding kind of a little tweak here and there. One of the things that he did for me that I really appreciated, that was a really wonderful suggestion, was when I come out and the cops are on the property, and there's poor Walton Goggins, and I walk out from behind some old washing machines in the front yard, and I've got my gun, and I've got my gun trained on Walton. I come out, and I did the first take, and it went fine. And then Rob came up to me and said, that was great. This time when you come out, why don't you try scratching your belly with your other hand? And I went, okay. And you know what? It just totally, it was such a great way of, kind of helping me, find that moment. And, I just remember that. It was, instead of saying, hey, here's what you got to do, I mean, just very subtle, a little tweak, but it really made a big difference.
Yeah, I think Janet should talk about you in the shack with the dead cheerleaders. We tied you up. My favorite was he wanted to carved up all of them, and they come with a girl, and Rob's like, put a pentagram on her, the sign of Satan. And they go to make it, they come back, and it's the Star of David.
Hey.
But you had some hairy situation.
Yeah, well, there's not much to say about that scene for me. I mean, I was pretty much just hanging in my underwear, I think.
What about the bunny costumes at 2 in the morning?
Bunny costume at 2 in the morning. I think, though, to answer my question, or your question about Rob and the small tweaks and everything, I have the same experience, and my actual first memory is of getting a call before we started shooting and going over to his house with the other 4, the 4 of us that they referred to as the kids on the road trip, and being at his house and rehearsing, but it was I immediately knew I was involved in something totally different than anything I had done before, because it was all he's very almost soft-spoken. We didn't really rehearse, we just sort of talked about it, and then I think Chris and Rain went swimming in the pool, and we all just sort of hung out, but he somehow gets the what he wants out of everybody without having to kind of hammer it into you. It's a very interesting and effective process, I think, on his part.
Let's go to the audience here. You guys came a long way. Way back there in the yellow shirt.
Good afternoon. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming. I have a question for Irwin Keyes. I like that scene in the shop when you were working with Michael J. Pollard and you were working with Sid. I want to know, how many times did it take you to film that scene, and I want to find out your feelings about it.
Want to know how many times did it take to film the scene with you and Sid Haig in the shop?
Working with Michael J. Pollard.
With Michael J. Fox, when you came busting in and...
Actually, that scene went. It was, we shot in pieces. That scene was done in pieces. Very, like most movies, done in pieces. And the entrance, wearing the mask, thank you, that I couldn't see out of. And I always tell everybody that I had to I couldn't see out of this mask. My eyes were somewhere at the bottom of this mask.
In the mouth.
Yeah, and but I said I could work this scene out, and I took steps, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, boom, and I always had it right. Always had the scene right. You know, it's kind of a stuntman kind of a thing I did there. Because it was a physical stunt, and so that worked right. And then when we moved on, everybody else, you know, he did a number of takes. I think it actually worked. It wasn't like 1,000 takes. Rob knew what he wanted, it's not that like he had all the toys in the world and all the time to shoot, because you know it wasn't that kind of a movie where you had, you know, billion-dollar budgets. So, but he knew what he wanted, and you know, we broke it down, and I think you know, and do this, and by the time you get it to the editing room, the thing worked. It's just amazing. But that's how a scene is put together. Not a lot of takes. I think it just worked.
Yeah, unfortunately, the cut out of the movie is Spalding pushes a button, and we cut to you in your room. You're watching TV.
Yeah.
In this crazy room we did, and Spalding pushes a button, and this red light goes off, and he comes over and he puts on the head, and that's when he comes out of the door. So, excuse me, it's odd that you just come out of nowhere. You know, if it would have had that setup.
Well, Rob told me there was a problem with the red. There was something with
you can't focus on red.
With the PG-13 or with the PG-17 and X rating.
I think they were going for R the whole time. Yeah.
Or there was, you know, you're trying to get the rating down as best you can.
Because of the red light?
And well, it was very red, that room, very similar to
the alarm went off. We had a red alarm that went off.
Yeah, my room was all red with that stupid little TV.
There's a lot of red that blows out the sets, and you can't focus. The camera can't focus on the color red if it's all blown out, and they have a lot of problems with.
Now, also, Greg, by the way, at Greg's table downstairs, he has a picture of Ravelli's room, right?
Yeah, I have Ravelli in the actual room. Yeah,
it's cool. That's the first time I'd ever seen it. When I just saw it earlier today. Yeah, that was very cool.
Yeah, I love that device. It was great. Yeah. Spalding, you know, he's in charge. You know, it shows that he's, instead of some guy just coming out of nowhere.
How about the milk wagon?
The what?
The milk wagon at the end.
The milk wagon?
The scene with the milk wagon.
It was cut.
It was cut.
Oh, the milk wagon. Oh, Spalding drove a milk wagon. Yeah, that was cut
that was
too.
Another thing. There was that red was in this truck.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Another fun thing: the kids are supposed to be on the road making a Super 8 movie of all these crazy Americana things. And I did a whole bunch of different Americana things, and one was Miss Bunny's Review. I don't know if you guys weren't around for that. Anyway, it was Miss Bunny who did puppets with taxidermy animals. And I built a puppet booth, and they did the last scene from Casablanca with a dead squirrel and like a cat or something. Yeah, I got all these taxidermy things, and I actually did the puppetry, and Miss Bunny would come out. We shot her out exterior, and it was great. And the kids were supposed to be documenting all this stuff. Well, all of it, like the crazy guy with the signs, with the gun. I think there's a little piece of that in there, but we did all this great stuff, and then there's it's gone. You know, they just cut it out. It's bizarre. And then we came back and reshot the reshoots and.
Where is that? Is there any place where that stuff might be lurking, or did that?
Well, I have the pictures of them, but no, it was on this. Where is it out? The ranch way out there where we had the barn. Remember where you had the barn? What was that called? Los Alto? No, where is it? I forget.
Santa Clarita.
Oh, the film footage? No, I don't know.
I have a picture of the bus. I'm not the bus, the milk truck. I have one
The milk truck. Milk truck was awesome. Spalding behind this milk truck was great. Yeah.
It was actually an ice cream truck. That silly little ice cream truck music was playing.
Right, yeah. All that stuff's lost. Universal trashed all this stuff we made. We did a lot of original artwork and sculptures and Halloween decorations.
Also, I had heard too that because that Rob, once Rob was cast out of Universal, and then was kind of, again, kind of wandering in the wilderness for those 3 years over at MGM and different places. That footage got lost, actually. So so they ended up, when he actually ended up editing the movie, it was like under 80 minutes or something. And so that he ended up having to do the Run Rabbit Run scene, and stuff we did in his basement.
You shot in the basement?
Yeah, we shot in the basement of Rob's house. We shot some of the.
We shot in my studio, and the crew was me and Rob.
Yeah, that's right.
And we shot the whole opening with Spalding and Ravelli, but it wasn't Irwin as Ravelli, it was Rob's assistant.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and we did Lance Brockman.
With the
And then we did the news,
right.
news thing in my little studio, and we did a whole setup.
Yeah,
And the super
white
watched-
T-shirt. That's
we watched
not
this.
to love.
The opening is not.
That's how you know it wasn't me.
Yeah.
Are you following this? There's going to be a test later, okay?
What was the first question?
That was some of the most fun.
Well, we're learning. We like this stuff too, so we're it's kind of like fun for us to find this stuff out. Like I had never seen the Ravelli's room before until earlier today at Greg's.
I have pictures of a lot of stuff. I have the ending, the original ending, which is Chris Hardwick with all of the zombies around him and just covered in blood, and we were just throwing blood at him. And it's the picture I have, if you want to see it downstairs, it's nuts. And I think they cut that out because, I don't know, they came up with a new ending when we came back.
Somebody got the vapors.
Yeah. Universal had no idea what they were doing, and then they finally look out and they're like, what are we doing? I can't believe we got away with what we got away with.
Universal was always known as the House of Horror.
Right.
And they had absolutely no idea of how to do a horror film.
Yeah.
Okay? It was just the most stupid thing. All they do is like tours now. That's it.
Well, they brought back the Corpses maze 2 years for those last 2 or 2 years. They did 3 different.
It was amazing.
Yeah. And when they called me up and I went through a tour and everything, I was like, how did this happen? Universal dropped this movie and now they have a maze 8 years
Well,
later.
remember they renamed it instead of House of a Thousand Corpses. Rob Zombie's American Nightmare.
Yeah. Okay, that was the first maze right after we shot the film.
Right.
And that was the Lieberman Commission again.
Yes, because they
were afraid of
promote it to children.
Promoting to children. And so when you got in line for the maze, it had House Thousand Corpses, House Thousand Corpses, clips, trailer. It was House Thousand Corpses all over the place, but it just said American Nightmare. And me and Rob would go and jump in the maze. Rob would get in a stormtrooper outfit and just scare the shit out of people. And I would see little kids in strollers, old ladies,
The opening night of that maze, Rob and Sheri and my wife and I were the first 4 people through the door, and a guy jumps out dressed as Spalding to scare us, okay? And he jumped out right in my face, and he looked at me and went, "Holy shit!" And jumped out.
I got scared by Otis. Otis it freaked me out, man. He jumped in front of me and I screamed like a schoolgirl. Yes, I don't know.
Being in the audience?
They didn't invite me. They didn't invite me
Right in the front here.
to the opening of that.
I got a question about the character of Otis between the House of a Thousand Corpses to Devil's Rejects. Why did that change so drastically between even to the makeup, like him being kind of like this albino to like a biker dude?
Okra. So sure, if you're an albino, just eat some okra, and it takes you a couple weeks, and then suddenly you're an almond brother. It's amazing. That's when I really thought that Rob was a genius. I thought that Rob was pretty damn smart and cool, when we did House of a Thousand Corpses. But I thought that I don't know if Rob was ever really excited about doing a sequel anyway. I don't think Rob's a big sequel fan. But the idea that he was given that opportunity and, with that budget and with, Lionsgate's love, and that he ended up really doing not only did the characters change, the looks of the characters, but also the genre changed, really. I think of Devil's Rejects not so much as a horror movie, but as like a violent crime, like a road picture. It's almost a different genre. And I thought that was really amazing, because most of the time you see, especially in horror movies, the sequel is basically kind of a reworked version of the original. And you're just thinking, we did good enough in the first one, so that we'll just kind of repackage it for a second one, and maybe we'll get at least, half to 3/4 of the money. No, so a lot of times there's kind of a cynical, plan afoot, and then for Rob to do the Devil's Rejects, I mean, it's amazing because if you think about it, really, it's probably not more than it shouldn't really take place more than a week or two at most after the end of House of a Thousand Corpses. We've just shot the local sheriff, and the deputy. So you'd think somebody would figure that out pretty quickly, and yet I've got I've got a beard now. I'm no longer an albino. Sid is out of makeup most of the movie, although he did get to
Bump Uglies.
Bump Uglies. That's it with what's her name? But and then and Sheri only does that laugh one time in the whole of Devil's Rejects.
Thank God.
So that's when I thought. I thought, man, this is fucking awesome because it's a whole different deal. Then it became gritty. Then I think that was why Dr. Satan, for instance, anything that was kind of like looked more monstery than kind of hardcore, gritty, real. I think that got edited into like the deleted scenes and stuff like that, so that they ended up with this kick-ass, badass movie.
I think Devil's Rejects is actually like a modern day Wild Bunch. When you think about it, okay, it's got all the same elements of that, and I liked it a lot more than House of a Thousand Corpses. Sorry.
Look at
just
it.
because it was just more real and more gritty, and it was scary in that that there are people out there like that. Okay?
I see them.
And they could be in your shit in a minute.
I like watching House of a Thousand Corpses more than Devil's Rejects, just because it's more fun. To me, House of a Thousand Corpses is more like a cool ride at the amusement park. Devil's Rejects is still that's a tough sled.
Yeah.
You with the cowboy hat.
Okay, I come with a disclaimer. I'm a pretty twisted chick.
Well, get on up here.
House of a Thousand Corpses to me was, and I had a crush on you. No.
Pretty sexy.
Big boy.
Oh.
I had a huge crush on him.
Gotta get his bear head.
Bear.
And kind of on Otis, because you guys were different in two totally different ways. You had the big silent guy, and then you had you reminded me of somebody I used to date in school. That's why
Is there a question?
what it is an appreciation. They were two totally different movies, and the end of Devil's Rejects made me cry so hard when you guys were getting shot up in the car, and I'm like, but they're a family.
Made us cry too.
It was like Bambi.
It was
You got to
fucking
know
hot.
them as people in the second one, whereas in the first one it was more just in your face, just ah. In the second one, you were people. It was you were more human instead of these characters, and that's why I cried at the end, because come on, Leonard Skinner, and then you guys are getting shut up, and you're like, no, we're just getting to know them. You can't kill them. It just...
They were murderers.
I've talked to a lot of people about this, and the changing point for most of the audience was the ice cream eating scene.
Yes.
Because everybody said, you know what, my family would argue about ice cream.
Yep.
And at that point in time, we became a part of your family.
Yep.
And just remember, there ain't no fucking ice cream in your fucking future.
All except Cookie fucking Fruity.
Robert, did you have anything to say to the young lady?
I'm the quiet one. I don't have shit to say.
Are you sure? Any other questions here? You've already asked one, sir. Come on. Well, they brought up Skinner. How much do you think the music in both films really added?
Well, Rob didn't want to do any original music for Corpses, and he was adamant about it. It's like, people aren't going to expect. He didn't want to do anything people were going to expect. And over those 3 years, he did the music, and I love the Corpses music. God, especially that song, Dr. Wolfenstein song is a great song.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a joke. No, it is.
But he also picks really obscure songs, like Slim Whitman and things like that. So he picks some obscure stuff to put in.
Yeah.
And that awesome, well, that's Double Rejects, but I was saying awesome Terry Reid.
Yeah.
But also Buck Owens. I mean, come on.
Yeah, Buck, we love Buck
mow
Owens.
your lawn.
Listen.
That's fucking awesome.
Expensive.
But actually, Rob took over for Steve Jones on 103.1 or whatever the hot rock radio station is. I think he was like a guest DJ. He and Sheri were guest DJs a couple years ago. And Rob did play actually some corn bugs, which was amazing. He played Lord Lawnmower, and then we played, I remember when, I don't know exactly when it was, Lord Lawnmower, and then he played Arm Torn Off by a Train, which is on a corn bug CD. It's my old band with Buckethead. And I remember, thank you very much, I remember actually when it was, because it was right after there's like a chimpanzee rescue place outside of town here. Remember like a burly guy got jumped by a couple of chimpanzees, and they tore his face off and bit his buttock and things like that. And so at the time we were, he was playing Arm Torn Off by a Train, and so every time the word train came, Rob and I would scream, "Monkey!" He got his arm torn off by a monkey! And we were just laughing, and that was really the end of my musical experience with him, but maybe that did it. That guy is, by the way, he's improving. The guy that had his face bitten off and everything. So don't mess with
butt's growing back.
Butt's growing back. He got a
I
butt
thought I
plug.
saw him in the convention center. Wasn't that him?
He got a butt plug, but yeah, don't mess with chimpanzees. I mean, these were like little teenage chimpanzees. They were like, 4'3", 105 pounds, cute little chimps. And what happened was that there were two teenage chimps in a cage next to the chimp that the couple was visiting. And the couple had brought a birthday cake to their chimp. And the other two chimps were jealous because they weren't getting the love or the cake. And so they picked the lock of their cage and jumped out and like chewed up the couple. And that was got nothing to do with the movie, but I thought I'd put it out there just to tell you, just to reaffirm how dangerous this fucking life is.
That's going to be the sequel. We're going to jump on people and bite them in the ass.
Were there any injuries or hazardous scenes you guys filmed during House of a Thousand Corpses?
No, well, I don't know about dangerous, okay, but when you're in the middle of the desert, in the middle of the night, wearing a satin clown costume, your nipples will get hard.
Well, it had rain, it had animals, it had, particularly the rain was really, really difficult to get that stuff. It was always
Then
really
it had
messy.
big masts you couldn't see out of.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember at 2 o'clock in the morning, Jen hanging on a harness in the bunny outfit, right? Remember that?
That was
and Hardwick.
uncomfortable.
And they're like, okay, we're gonna take a break, and they just left him there. They're like, anyway, where are you going?
Did.
2 o'clock in the morning.
Left us there. And yeah, Chris Hardwick was very uncomfortable. But that was where you had to walk down those hard stairs that you've whined about at various conventions.
What were they hard about? That set, the Universal set?
I'm kidding him.
Yes, actually, because I had Mr. Willis's face on,
Right.
And then I had like the cloak, the hooded cloak, and I'm coming down those steep stairs in our house. By the way, the House of a Thousand Corpses is on the back lot of Universal, and it is in fact, which I guess is that way. And the House of a Thousand Corpses was formerly the Chicken Ranch from Best Little Whorehouse.
Best Little Whorehouse in Texas. Our first house was in Topanga Canyon, way up the hill.
Wow.
And I was getting ready to shoot there. We were prepping that whole house. And we decided to do a teaser. Or, that teaser where they dig up the body.
Yeah,
and
right.
And then we also decided at the same time to shoot the exterior of the Halloween night at the Willis house.
Right.
And I remember arriving there, we had all decorated and everything, and Rob's like, hey man, let's go check out this house. And it was right around the corner. It's right below the Psycho house.
Right.
And we walked in and it was perfect for shooting. It was made for shooting. The dining room that we had in the previous house, we're going to put the camera in the middle of the table and just turn it around because there was no place to put it.
Right.
And he's like, let's get this place. And I said, okay. And I went to the research, and the research turned out it was a wash. It was the same amount of money to shoot on the back lot of Universal. as it was to go driving up Topanga Canyon and doing the rain stuff up there and the mud and you're all in all the elements. And that was the saving grace, because that house, was a lifesaver.
That was so crazy too, because we shot on the back lot of Universal, the executives were there every day, all day. They were hanging out on the set, watching what we were doing, and that's why it was such a surprise when there was a screening and everybody freaked out because they had been there the whole time. So I guess maybe the devil was in the editing, or
they were so hypocritical. They were total stuff suits. They would stand on the side, we'd be shooting stuff, and they didn't care. They didn't know what. I don't know how these guys get their job.
They had their own producer on the set every day. They watched dailies every day. They gave
No, they didn't.
notes.
No, they didn't. No, it was all in-house. No, they never. They seriously. They only showed up a few days on the Universal back lot, but they were never in the. We had a dailies trailer. We'd go in the trailer watch. They were never in there.
All the stuff that I did in Lancaster, they were there every day.
Yeah.
Well, that. Okay. Well, I was in Universal making that set. I finished that set, so I was off. So I wouldn't know that. So.
They would give Rob.
Yeah, let's pretend they were there.
They would give Rob notes, and like, okay, that's good. And Rob told me actually one day a guy stopped him in the hallway and said, I have a couple of suggestions for you. And he said, who are you? And it turned out the guy was in the mail room. It's like, yeah, let's get everybody in on this fucking movie, okay? It's just, they destroyed themselves. Universal just,
My first clue that Universal was maybe not going to be incredibly helpful or on top of things was when we were when we all got the jobs, we had to sign confidentiality agreements, and they were really serious about it. I mean, I remember somebody sitting down with us and saying, like, you can't tell anything about this script. It's a big, big secret, and don't talk about the ending, and you can't tell your friends. I mean, it was like this really serious thing. And then the first day of shooting, which was very nice, they left like little welcome gifts in our trailers. And in the welcome package or whatever, there was we all got t-shirts that said the title of the House of 1,000 Corpses on the front, and then everybody dies on the back. And I was like, so you can't tell anybody what's going to, walking around advertising it. There's now 200 people wearing t-shirts that say the end of the movie.
There were also a lot of fake scripts. We actually, at the office, we would put together fake scripts and change them and then send them out.
The disinformation campaign.
Yeah.
And Rob is very smart in that respect, because when he was doing Halloween, somebody got a hold of his first draft, which was nothing like the film.
Right,
and he did absolutely nothing about it. He said, let them think that's what it is, okay?
Yeah. Like Corpse's first draft is nothing like the film. No. Yeah. And that script that we submitted to Universal when we did our presentation, it had so many, it was, Rob wrote it, he's a great guy, but he ran through it really quick because it had so many grammar, spelling issues. And Universal was like, they didn't read it, They're just like, okay, Rob Zombie will give you $1 million.
I'm changing my name. Hey, I'm Rob Zombie. Hey, I want $1 million.
Second row here. You had a question earlier.
One of my favorite parts of the movie in House 1000 is when Otis is outside and he's got the gun to his head and kind of pans out, takes a while. I heard there was a screening before where that scene was a lot longer, and I just want to know if there's any truth to that.
I don't know if it was a lot longer, but I do know that Rob, I remember when we were shooting the run, that we were out in the wilderness somewhere and chasing poor Jen and putting her on the bonfire. But Rob showed me that scene that night, and the scene it was kind of cobbled together, pretty kind of bare bones, but the basic edit of waiting all that time and then finally shooting poor Walton. And he said that actually that was like one of the things that Universal wanted taken out of the movie. And it's so funny because that really, as it turns out, that is really kind of unemotional, if not the emotional heart of the movie. But I think that was where they got a little nervous about it being glorifying violence to the police. But also, it's amazing when you see that scene in the theater. I mean, that is about 30 seconds of silence, which in a movie is a lifetime. And I thought that was an amazing decision on his part, just to have that and to pull back. And then when the gunshot finally does ring out, it's almost like a pop. It's not a loud gunshot. It was just such a eerie scene. But of course, they wanted that out because maybe that's like rocking the boat or something like that. But I didn't hear that it was longer than that. I think that was pretty long as it was.
Well, Stacey Snider said that it wasn't just a murder; it was a celebration of an assassination.
Well, the thing is, you have to submit your film to the MPAA and they go through the thing. Rob had to submit it 10 times, and you have to make little deals. Like when Sheri stabbed you, okay? She stabbed her 10 times, that's too much. Okay, so what's acceptable? 5. Okay. Stabbing is stabbing, okay? That's the end. And so you have to go through that process, and because he was a newbie, they really raked him over the coals. But then when it came time to do The Devil's Rejects, we broke the record for the number of F-bombs in the movie. And what was it, 93 minutes? It's 560 some odd bucks. Okay. Yeah, we beat the shit out of that. Yeah.
Fucking A.
Yeah, but see, you have to go through your baptism of fire in this town before you can get to really do what you want to do.
Any of you keep any props from the film?
Well, I made about $8,000 selling some props on eBay. I sold a box of hair from Spalding's Museum for like $75 or something. I sold Bill's mustache. Bill's still mad at me about this.
That's Brockman.
Where's the news guys? Are $160 I got that for Bill, and it's not even a real mustache. No one gets that joke. But I sold a lot of stuff from it because I used a lot of my own stuff. I would literally set with a whole bunch of my own collection.
I'm trying to remember. I mean, I don't think I got any props from that.
I kept the baseball cap from the final scene in the convertible when we picked her up and took her right back to where she didn't want to go. Yeah, I'm taking this.
Well, I get requests all the time for the chicken bags. Everybody wants a chicken bag. Or Spalding's little spinning skull.
Oh, yeah, they don't
make those anymore.
They don't make it. Oh man, people write me all the time about that. Can you get me one of those?
Or when did you get anything?
I don't have a costume.
He got the head.
Everyone wanted the mask, right?
No, Rob's got the head on a chair and his.
Rob took that
now he
away. That disappeared. The best thing got was the little one. That's it.
Well, I just did some casts of the actual maquette that I made for Rob to approve that mask, and for the 10th anniversary. So there's a few left, but yeah.
They're on eBay.
They're going to be on eBay tomorrow. Yeah, go to eBay. House of 1,000 Props.
Audience?
I guess no.
Yellow shirt. We'll get them next. Yellow shirt over here.
Was there any of your personal favorite scenes, if it wasn't the ones you acted in yourself in the movie?
Favorite scenes, not necessarily that you acted yourself.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Somebody
I will. Yeah, go for it.
I'm quieter than Robert today, so. Yeah, I mean, I liked the whole film. I don't remember any particular scene. I did like the scene with the 30-second scene where we were talking about where the silence, where he got shot. I thought that was really cool. And I remember liking the scene towards the end where suddenly we see one of the characters sewn into something else. The fish.
Fish boy.
Fish boy. Yeah.
Fish boy.
I love Fish Boy.
Yeah. The big thing I guess I'd have to admit about this is I didn't know who Rob Zombie was when we did this. I had no idea. I went into the audition, I didn't know who he was. And I got the sides for it. I was like, okay, went into Dean Frank's office, who's the casting director, and I don't think Rob was there when I did it, because I remember I was cast off tape. There were no, at least my part wasn't called back. And then the first time I saw somebody who might have been Rob was when we went to the costume fitting. And I saw this strange-looking man with long dreadlocks and monster sleeve tattoos, and I thought, well, that's impressive. That's a nice costume designer. I thought he was a costume designer, and I didn't know until Chad Banyan, who also was in the scene with me as well, said, well, you know who that was, don't you? And I said, I don't know. He goes, well, it's Rob Zombie. So, okay, then I found out who it was, and then the next time I saw Rob was when Sid and I and Michael J. Pollard, we went over to Universal one day to do a rehearsal for the scene. I didn't get to go to Rob Zombie's house. I was disappointed about that. But I remember Michael was very disturbed that day because wasn't it the day of the Kentucky Derby or something?
Kentucky Derby. Michael J. Pollard had a standing date with his mother to watch the Kentucky Derby every year. He said, Rob, you're killing me here. My mother's home alone watching the Kentucky. Come on, let's do this.
You know, he quit when we were shooting the museum. That was the first week of shooting. And he wouldn't act anymore. And we had the prop guy, the prop master, stand in for him and put on his glasses and he shot just from the side. Because Michael J. Pollard just said, I quit. And he just quit. Wow. He walked away. He was so upset.
Yeah, well, about the Kentucky Derby?
You know, you remember him. I mean, he was a very difficult guy. You know,
he was just confused.
He was confused.
That's all. He was just having a little problem with the dialogue and stuff, and he was.
Yeah, he was having dialogue.
He was having a problem with the dialogue, and finally he threw his notebook down and said, "Anybody got a joint?" And I go, "Oh, please."
Yeah, he was fucking fine.
Please don't anybody have a joint, because we're going to be here until next Thursday.
Yeah, that role was supposed to be played by Johnny Ramone. And he's playing Johnny Ramone. Johnny Ramone's a big collector, and he'd always tell Rob, God damn, they personalized this autograph, you know? And one of Rob's best friends. But Johnny dropped out. And then also, people ask me, just to finish, I'm talking too much, but ask me, how did I play Wolfenstein? Because I was the production designer. Rob was supposed to play Wolfenstein. And Rob showed up, we waited, I built this little beautiful horror show set. We waited for Rob to come out. He finally came out in this wolf kind of appliance, and then he walked around a little bit. We put him some smoke. He watched playback, and he just said, "I'm not going to do this. Screw it." And he just walked off the set. And I and a producer followed him. And we went into his trailer, and he was just all upset. People are going to know it's me. People are going to know it's me. So the producer turns to me and says, "Have Greg do it." And within 10 minutes, I was in makeup, I was on set, and I was Wolfenstein. And then we broke for lunch, and after lunch we come back, and Rob is now a hunchback. And he's my assistant hunchback. We shot all this crazy stuff, smashing the... You see lots of it at the beginning, but I have a photo downstairs of the only picture of Rob in the movie, so I'm doing a little publicity here.
$20.
Yeah. I think we had somebody in the front row, right here. Oh, and we'll get you next.
Me? Question for Bill and Sid. In the special features on the DVD, that knock knock joke with the punchline, Tiny fucked a stump. What the hell?
We were doing that deal, and we were talking about Tiny, and I called him a mush mouth motherfucker or something, and Bill said, well, at least he's stump broke. And Sheri, in all her innocence, looked at me and said, what's stump broke? And I said, well, before you get your first piece of ass, you got to practice on something. And Tiny just couldn't give up the stump. So that's how that started.
Yeah, we just took it from there.
Yep.
Is there any backstory to that, to a stump? Was it something you made up, or is it an old legend?
It just came out of conversation.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wandell is.
Yeah, and then we just ran with it.
Yeah. And now everybody comes up and goes, knock, knock, yeah, fuck you.
You see somebody in the, I can't quite see.
Yes.
While making House of a Thousand Corpses, did anything happen that freaked you out or scared you?
When we got the script of House of a Thousand Corpses, I read it a few times, and I had nightmares about it. Fucking Otis scared the shit out of me.
I was okay with it.
That was fine. That was just me.
I was scared the night I had to run through the Run Rabbit Run scene because I'm scared of snakes. I have like a phobia of snakes, and I had to run through all this tall grass from 11 at night till 4 in the morning. running with Sheri chasing me, which was, Sheri wasn't scary, but I was scared just being out. We were in the middle of, Santa Clarita, where there were lots and lots of rattlesnakes. I was positive.
And at night.
And at night, it was just creepy and dark and not, we were in like a wildernessy area, not an area that was at all snake-proofed, exactly.
St. Patrick.
Yeah. But I mean, I was terrified, but I did not enjoy that night.
Well, also, somebody had, I don't know if this was your department, Greg, but somebody, when we had the bonfire where we were burning the bodies, somebody put an awful lot of fuel on that fire. And so when we lit the fire, there was like an explosion of flame, and I was like, it was like starting to melt my costume, or maybe just my skin.
Yeah, they got a little carried away with that. But the funny thing is, I have a picture of this too, is the body that the prop master bought. I don't know if you remember the first, we had to reshoot that. Because the body looked like, it didn't even look like close to a human being. And then we watched the dailies and Rob's like, man, that looks so fake. And the fire was beautiful and big and glorious and poor Tiny, and he almost got, that was dangerous with Matthew, working with Matthew, because he was, he had all that physical problems and stuff.
Well, and he had a lot of rubber on his head.
But it was also cut out, isn't it? It's cut out. Yeah. Did they, the burning,
I think it's...
Well, there's a bonfire.
There's a different one.
I just remember like that, the actual physical bonfire, the lighting of it was a surprise to all of us, because it really was like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like an explosion of flame on a grand scale. How about that? That's poetic.
We probably had no safety measures or, on set. We would just do whatever we wanted.
Kids with firecrackers.
Do you think Sheri had it easier or harder being Rob's wife?
I think Sheri had it, I don't know if it was harder or whatever, but the night that we did the table read at the studio, she was sitting across from me as we were reading the script, and she was so nervous that I could feel the heat coming off of her body.
She was so nervous.
And thank God for Karen Black, because she kind of took Sheri under her wing and calmed her down and just helped her through the whole process. I first met Rob and Sheri in the wardrobe department. Okay, I hadn't met him before. I went through the non-disclosures thing and take the script home and read it, and if you like it, the part's yours. Okay, cool. Somebody gets it. And I thought I could have so much fun, so I get the wardrobe call, and I go down, and Rob is there. I had seen him, and I, knew his music and everything, but we had never really met. And Sheri was standing there, and so we all did the whole introduction thing, and then she turned around to go change costumes, and her ass cheeks were hanging out of her pants.
Yeah.
Okay. And
that was the first day.
Okay.
Right. That was the liquor store.
Yeah, that was the liquor store.
The night before, we were at a diner, Rob, me, Sheri, maybe his assistant, and she did not want to do the movie. She was going to bow out of it, and he was adamant that she was going to be in it. And the first shot she does is the liquor store, Red Hot Pussy Liquors. Yeah. And I was going away from the set, and she was standing there, and she was all nervous and everything, and then she just did one of these. Wow! And that scene where she walks. The ass
Actually,
shot.
what she wanted to do, or wants to do, is voiceovers.
Huh.
That's what she wanted to do, and she did. Being on camera just wasn't her thing.
Well, and now she's the star of his new movie.
Yeah. And when I would work with her, I had a mantra: she's the boss's wife. The boss's wife. Yeah. But we had a great, I think Sid, Sheri, and I had a great, we had a great relationship through both movies, just because. I think she trusted us, we liked her, it just all kind of worked out. I love Sheri. I think the first time I met her, I went over to Rob's house, and we had like some kind of lunch or something outdoors, and for dessert we had cubes of purple Jello. And to me, I've loved her ever since. That's one of my secrets, is purple Jello. So Buddy wants to bring me some. I'll love you too.
She makes a mean chocolate chip cookie too. We used to be in meetings at his house, and here comes Sheri with these plates of cookies. Rob would be like,
Be prepared, Bill, there's going to be 50 pounds of purple jello at your table when you get down there. Yeah.
Some bananas and different pieces of fruit in there would help too.
Well, I'm Nast Neil from WithoutYourHead.com. Let everybody know, right after this, we're going to have a Black Dahlia screening right here. Let's hear it for the panel here for House of
Thank you guys so much for coming out today this weekend. It's been a pleasure being with you guys. Each and every one of you. You know it's a pleasure seeing my friends here.
Show them all some love down at their tables. Yeah.
Give me an A, give me a B, give me a Y. What's that spell? What's that spell?